Thank you all for joining us for ORE, Tapping into the Self for Success, a workshop with Iya Funlayo E, Ph.D. Our speaker earned her Ph.D. in African and African American Studies and Religion at Harvard University, and her research centers philosophical and theological aspects of Ifa Orisa tradition as practiced in Nigeria and in the Americas, and cross-cultural analysis of Yoruba religious concepts and practice, within all of which she privileges Yoruba language as a conduit to understanding. Her work has been published in various scholarly and public venues, and she has appeared in documentaries for PBS and National Geographic Channel. Spirit permeates both her scholarship and her service, and she founded Ase Ire in 2010 as a place to share her spiritual gifts and the things she has learned from her teachers with the world, especially with those new to African spirituality. I want to make sure we have as much time as possible to spend in the type of calm that she brings to the universe. So I am going to allow her to introduce herself and take over, and we're going to jump right in. Take over, my friend.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Nanette, for this beautiful invitation to be here today. I am Iya Funlayo E, and I will share that Iya is a title that means mother in the Yoruba language. I am affectionately known as your favorite scholar priestess. I am a priestess in the Ifa Orisha tradition. I'm also a scholar of the tradition, received my PhD from Harvard in African Studies and Religion. And I'm also a tarot and meditation teacher of many years. And there is nothing that I enjoy more than connecting with folks like you and sharing some of the philosophies from the Ifa tradition that help us to align with ourselves. And one of the primary philosophies is called Ori. Has anyone, so I'll start off as well telling you that one of the things we do in my online learning environments is what we call Ashe fingers. So can I get some Ashe fingers? And this is how we show agreement. This is how we show energy. So if I say something that connects with you, you are very welcome to give me a little Ashe finger. You can also use the reactions if you feel so moved to do so. So have any of you, when you can show your Ashe fingers, if so, ever heard of the concept of Ori or ever heard of Ifa before? Okay, I see we've got one. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, no worries. I'm going to introduce the concept to you and then great. I'm going to introduce the concept to you and then we are going to put it into action right now. And so let me go ahead and share my screen and get us going. And so today we're talking about Ori and tapping into the self for success. I've already introduced myself. That's a little intro slide for you. And I'll share that I have my contact info on all of the slides. I am Iya Funlayo on pretty much all social media. And the number that is on the slides is a text line where you can keep in touch with me. You can also keep in touch with other events that I do if you enjoy this and want to connect more, and my website is there as well, and you're very welcome to connect with me there. I host prayer and meditation every Sunday morning and do a lot of other community events that you are very warmly welcome to attend if this moves you. So what is Ori? In the Ifa tradition, we consider Ori to be everyone's personal divinity. It could be likened to the soul, it could be likened to the self. It is our seat of consciousness and conscience, and it is the gateway to everything that we desire. There is a saying that nothing good can come to us without the sanction of our own heads, without the sanction of our Ori. And the head, so everyone can touch their head gently, love on that beautiful head of yours. It is the seat of our Ori. We have 3 seats of Ori in our bodies, 3 centers of consciousness and conscience that exist for each of us. So the head is our primary seat, and this is where we conceive of the ideas that we want to accomplish, where we think about the things that we want to do, where we consider our goals, where we reason them, right? The gut is another space of Ori, and you're welcome to touch your gut if you're so inclined. That is our space of intuition. That is where we feel things, where we get those, as they're called, gut instincts, right? Where we feel as to if something makes sense for us, not just from that reasoning standpoint, but from the standpoint of what feels right within us. And so everyone has all of these, right? We have that place where we think about it. We have that place where we feel it. We know when things don't feel right, when we get into certain environments or around certain people or in certain spaces. We may feel the butterflies in our stomach if it's a good thing. We may feel a little tightening if it's a place that's not necessarily for us, right? And so the gut, as we know scientifically too, is often referred to as our second brain. And the Yoruba and the Ifa tradition respect that as well. And then we have Ori in our feet, which is where we take action. So when we are thinking about being successful at any venture that we are going into, whether it be degrees, whether it be other career moves that we're making, we have to first think about it, right? Conceive of it, reason it, think about what makes sense. We have to feel into it, see if it feels right to us in our guts. And then we got to move, right? Our feet have to move. It's not enough to just think and feel things. We have to move in order to make sure that we are actually able to accomplish the things that we are seeking. And so these are the three seats of Ori, and it's important when we talk about aligning the self that all three of these be in alignment in order for us to achieve whatever goal we are seeking, right? So sometimes something may make sense, but it doesn't feel right, and therefore we're not taking action on it, or something makes sense and it feels good and we're able to take the action, right? That's, of course, the ideal case scenario with anything that we are seeking to accomplish in our lives. And so there are a few questions, and I'm going to share these questions, and then I'm going to invite us actually into the breakout rooms to just chat over these things a little bit with one another. And I encourage you to jot these questions down. These are questions that you can ask yourself at any point in time, right? Because oftentimes when we are conceiving of something that we want to accomplish, it isn't an outside force that stops us from accomplishing it, but it's our own self, right? It's either our inability to conceive of whatever it is, it's our inability to align, or our unwillingness or inability to take action towards it that actually impedes us. And so to start with, we have each different for each place of Ori, we're going to have a few questions that we can ask ourselves to align that particular seat of our Ori. So when we're talking about conception and thinking about the head, allowing ourselves to conceive the biggest and best things for ourselves, the first question we have is, if I could snap my fingers right now and be anywhere with anyone doing anything, regardless of my age, ability, gender, or any other consideration, what would I do? And another question we can ask ourselves is, what perceived limitations keep me from dreaming big? Because again, as I said, many times when we feel impeded in our ability to accomplish, it's not an outside force, but it's our own limitations that we place on ourselves. We say, well, I'd like to do this, but, right? That's often the way sentences go. And you can give me Ase fingers if you've ever thought that, well, I'd like to, but I can't because, or I would, but I'm too, or I'm not enough, or it's too hard, or whatever those conceptions or limitations may be that we place on ourselves, all right? And so this exercise of asking ourselves these questions helps us to break through those limitations and say, look, what if there were no limitations whatsoever? What would I do? And getting us to as well recognize the limitations that we put on ourselves. So some of us, it may be thinking our age is a limitation, or thinking that our level of ability is a limitation, or our gender, whatever it may be. Allow yourself to think through, what that is so that you are able to overcome it. All right, so those are our conception questions. We have questions around intuition, right? And so again, intuition and our gut is that place of worry that it's sometimes the hardest to trust. Sometimes we will feel something is right or feel that it's not right, and we'll let our head talk us into or out of something that we know actually is or isn't for us, all right? And so our intuition question that we want to ask is, questions that we want to ask are, when is a time that I did not trust my intuition about a situation and it turned out exactly how I knew it would? In other words, you knew that something was going to go right or wrong, and you didn't follow along with that, and it turned out exactly the way you thought that it would. And another question that we can ask is, when is a time that I trusted and believed in myself despite perceived odds and won? Right. So this is another place where intuition may tell us, look, this is something that I can do, even if it doesn't seem to make sense, right? Even if it seems like there are limitations on me, even if it seems like there's some reason why I can't do this thing, I trust and believe that I can. So when's the time that that happened for you? And when were you right about that? All right. So again, I invite you to just think about these things, and you can use these as prompts at any time, journal about them, and we'll invite you to some breakout rooms in a moment where you can choose whichever one you'd like to share with those who you end up in the room with. And then finally, very, very important and vital, again, it's not enough to think about things. It's not enough to feel that they're right for you. We have to take action towards the things that we desire to accomplish. So you all, of course, are taking big action by being here in SICSS right now and going through these workshops. You are taking action going into the programs that you're going into. And there are other, of course, smaller actions that you'll need to take along the way to get to your ultimate goal. And so 2 questions we ask ourselves is, what is one small action I can take right now to move myself towards success? And the important part is that this has to be a small and manageable action. It has to be something that you can do right now without anyone else's input or interference. Why? Because again, just like we sometimes talk ourselves into or out of things, we also at times set ourselves up for disappointment by thinking that only the end goal matters, right? We say, I'm going to get my degree and I'm going to, have this great career. And we see that end goal as the only way that we win. We're not able to connect with the small wins that happen along the way. We may not be able to connect with the small actions that we take every day that we can count as wins. And so this is saying, what is one thing that you can do right now, that you can do today? One phone call you can make, one email you can send, one application you can turn in, one thing that can happen today, right now, that will move you further towards where you need to be and where you desire to be. Next, other question that we have in the action category is, what is one big, scary action I can take within the next 30 days? Now, what's a big, scary action? This is a phrase that's often used in the business coaching community that talks about something that feels scary, that feels too big to do, but that we actually are perfectly capable of doing if we put our minds and our spirits and our hearts and our whole self into it. So what's one thing that perhaps you've been afraid to do? What's one thing that perhaps you felt that you couldn't do, or that you felt was too large for you to do, or that you felt was almost impossible for you to do? And how can you potentially do that thing within the next 30 days, right? What is one thing that has felt big and scary for you that you actually can accomplish if you take one small action today and another small action tomorrow and another small action the next day? Right. So we have 2 questions for each: our conception And we'll go back just for a moment and let you choose. So what I'm going to invite you to do is choose one of these questions, the one that immediately, I'm going to ask you to use your intuition right now, right? Use that gut and allow the question that most resonates with you to stick in your mind, right? Just one, right? Don't try to remember all the questions. Just pick one that resonates with you. And we're going to invite you into some breakout rooms for about 5 minutes and invite you to just share your answer to one of these questions with the people that you are in your breakout room with, whether it be, and I'm going to invite you as well to make note of whether the question that you choose came from the place of conception, came from the place of intuition, or came from the place of action, right? And that can help indicate to you which seat of your ori or which part of the self may need the most attention in this moment, right? Is it your mind where you're not able to conceive things as clearly as maybe you could or as big as you could? Is it your intuition where it's harder to feel into things? Or is it that action place where it may be harder to move towards the things you desire? Okay, so we'll invite you into the breakout rooms, and we will have you in there for just about 5 to 7 minutes to make sure each person gets a chance to speak.
So you are returning to your same breakout rooms from earlier. I dropped it in the chat box for everybody. So peanut butter is Nina, mango, James, Ayana, sashimi is Ishi, Rohitha, Dereje, Joyana. Spaghetti and meat sauce is Beth, Kevin I, Rebecca, Hoel. Buffalo wings is Gia, Jacqueline, Hamidatu. Macaroni and cheese is Mateo, Rashid, Kevin S. Nectarines is Brittany, Shu, and JJ. Please head to your rooms.
Name.
They're open. Yeah, these are all my foods.
I love it. I love it.
Right, organizer's choice. Please head to your rooms.
Nectarines are vegan.
Yes, they are. I hit up everybody. I hit up everybody in there, and that meat could be beyond meat. It could be beyond meat spaghetti.
All right. I see you coming back in. Hope that was good for you. And as you come back in, I just want to invite you. I was interested to see which seat of ori has been stimulated. So if you would just drop in the chat, whether it was head, gut, or feet, or so conception, intuition, or action that your question came from. Was it a head question? Was it a gut question? Or was it a feet question? Just drop that into the chat. All right. I see we've got one gut, intuition. Okay. As you're coming back in. Okay. Gut. All right. Just drop into the chat whether the question you chose to answer was head, gut, or feet. Okay. I see we've got some gut, some feet, conception and feet. Okay. Okay. Good. So conception is the head where we're thinking, reasoning. Gut is our intuition or our feeling into things. And feet is our action questions. So either thinking about what we would do if there were no limitations, a time that our intuition served us well, or and then one action that we can take. Those were our 3 categories. All right. So unsurprisingly, right, I like to see this because unsurprisingly, most of you are saying gut and feet, right? These tend to be the hardest. We do all right with the head, especially as academics and intellectuals. We could think through some things, right? We could think, we don't have a problem thinking a lot of the time, but it's that gut place, that intuitive place of when it's time to move, and it's that place of taking action that can be the more challenging ones for us. And so Okay, I see we've got feet, right? A lot of gut, a lot of feet. So, I encourage you again to think even more deeply through those questions. You can re-answer them anytime that you feel, especially, of course, the action questions and things like that, where as time moves forward, there's going to be different actions that you'll be able to take, right? There's going to be different moves that you'll need to make. And so re-asking yourself these types of questions on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, right? These are ways that you will be able to help further align yourself and just check in with yourself, because a lot of the time we're moving and we kind of are on autopilot. We're just going and we don't stop and take that time to check in with ourselves and say, hey, am I actually limiting myself in some way, right? Am I working with limitations that I might not be stating? Or is there a place where I'm not trusting myself and I'm moving just according to my head, but not according to what feels right to me? Or is there a place where I'm not moving at all, right? Where I'm feeling stuck? A lot of the time we can get into that energy of feeling stuck, and it's really that we haven't taken the moment to consider what the best next action will be for us. All right, so thank you for participating in that exercise. If there's anything about it that you want to drop into the chat or any insights that came out, I, always love to hear those. And again, I invite you to continue using those. And I have a couple of other exercises. So asking ourselves these questions is one exercise, one way that we can help to align ourselves. And I have some other ones that I will share with you. I also want to share that I'm in Rio right now, and I hear that we have a Brazilian in the room. Get some Ase Fangers. Hey, Jacqueline, I'm happy to be here right now. I've been wanting to come here for a long time. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be. And I'm grateful, glad to have your energy in with me here. All right, so some exercises that we can do to help further align our ORIs. So one very simple exercise, and this is actually something that we do often in the Orisha tradition and the Ifa tradition, is an affirmation or a statement of Ori Wu. Ori Wu. And this means, may my Ori expand, may myself open, may myself expand. And so we will touch our heads and open our hands 3 times and say, Ori Wu, Ori Wu, Ori Wu. All right, so that's a very simple exercise you can do. You can try it if you'd like. Ori Wu, Ori Wu, Ori Wu. Nice, right? Very simple. It's a way of bringing ourselves back to calm, especially if you find yourself in a place where where your thoughts may be racing, or you're feeling anxious, or you're feeling worried, or any type of feeling in the mind or in the body that you want to kind of release and let go of. You can do that to expand and open yourself. You can also do it from the gut. You can touch your gut and open your hands out similarly and say, Ori Wu, Ori Wu, Ori Wu. All right, to allow yourself to expand, to allow whatever tension, whatever way that you may be balled up into yourself, to expand and to open. That is one very, very simple exercise that you can take with you. And again, do anytime. And you can say it too, if you're in a place where it might be a little strange to put your hands up to your head, right? If you're in class or you're in in your office or somewhere where you may not want to do the movement, you can just close your eyes for a moment, take a nice deep breath, and say, Ori Wu, and allow the breath to come out as you say that, right? And it's a beautiful way to just bring yourself back to center and reopen that seat of your Ori. Another way that we do an alignment and a cooling, because cool energy right, is thought to be the energy that keeps us calm and that keeps us centered. We need heat and we need fire, right? Fire energy is often associated with action and with getting things done, and we absolutely need that. But when that energy gets too high and too hot, that's where we find ourselves having anxiety and having some of these less pleasant experiences within ourselves. And so in the Ifa tradition, we say that cooling ourselves, right? Tutu is the concept of coolness, T-U-T-U, tutu. And we say that we want to be cool, we want to be tutu. And so just taking some cool water, touching a little bit of cool water and touching the center of your forehead is one way, or touching your gut with it, or even touching your feet with it, right? Are ways that we can cool ourselves and calm ourselves, again, especially if we find ourselves where we are unsure of which way to go, or we're seeking to make a decision and feeling a little bit out of alignment with that, not sure what to do, or feeling unduly frustrated or angry, or any of those types of feelings that can come when we don't feel like we're moving towards our goals in the way that we need to. We can touch a little bit of cool water and touch our heads and just ask for coolness in our ori, ask for coolness in our heads. Baths with different types of plant materials are also a very common thing that we do. Of course, you can just take a regular old bubble bath. That's always a nice way, right, to calm and soothe the self. And it may sound very cliche, but water is calming. Even the fact that when you get into water and your weight is displaced, like your very body feels lighter, right? And there's a way in which soaking in water just helps to lighten us, and being able to sit back suspended as much as we're able to and take some nice deep breaths can help to calm our systems and help to align ourselves, perhaps considering some of those questions that we went over while you're doing that. As well, there are alignment baths, which need not actually be a bath where you get into the tub. But when we talk about baths in this sense, they may be concoctions that we can make, let's say, in a bowl and just pour over ourselves that help to cool and that help to align. So plants in the Orisha tradition, we say, kosi ewe, kosi Eniyan. Without plants, there are no people, right? Without plants, there's nothing. And so plant energy, of course, we know we eat plants, we know, and so we have our vegan, yes, power to the plants, right? So we eat plants, we get our oxygen from plants, we get our medicines from plants. Everything that we have in human life basically is attributed to plants and their activities. And in addition to their nutritional and their oxygenation value, they are thought to be energetic and spiritual properties to various plants as well. And so one that's extremely common and that works very well for this is basil. So just taking some basil leaves into some kind of lukewarm water and rubbing them between your hands to kind of get all that chlorophyll in there. It smells delicious as well. And you can use that to pour over yourself to help to align, to help to cool yourself, to help to release any stagnant energy that you may be feeling, if that's something that you feel inclined to do, if you're a water baby like me and love all the water things. Divination is another tool that we use in the tradition and that people have used from time immemorial to help get out of a place of stuckness, to help make decisions, to help tap into their intuition. And so what is divination? Divination is seeking information from a source outside of ourselves, from a divine source, whether we want to call it spirit, whether we want to call it the universe, whether we want to call it universal consciousness. It's seeking information from a place that is beyond just our own selves. And so different forms of divination, I mentioned that I've been a tarot reader for over 25 years. Tarot is one very common form of divination. Oracle cards, people use, there are many, many different forms of divination. Bibliomancy, right, where you may just open a book to a page to get a particular message. and really just allowing yourself to receive information. This doesn't mean, sometimes divination gets sort of an interesting rap as being, telling the future or things of that nature. And really, I like to say more so than telling the future, it's really giving us a message for the moment. Right. And so if you follow a particular spiritual path and that has a sacred text like the Bible or the Quran, you could open one of those books to a page and just see if there's a message there that resonates for you in the moment. If you're seeking advice about anything, if you feel called to, crystals, or if you feel called to cards, whatever it is that you feel called to, essentially seeking a message from outside of yourself that can help you to align, and that can help you, especially if you're in a place of seeking to make a decision about one of your goals, thinking about which way to move, thinking about which way to go with a particular thing you're working on. And finally, for now, one of the simplest things that we have that we can work with at any time is affirmations. And again, may sound cliche, but affirmations and positive self-talk is one of the most powerful things that we can do. And the reason why it's so powerful and so necessary is that our negative self-talk tends to be on autopilot, right? I can't do this. This is hard. I don't have enough. I'm not enough. I can't. We have those types of recordings kind of playing in our minds all the time, many of us without even realizing it. And that's especially true if we are part of marginalized groups and marginalized identities that may have been actively told, you cannot do this, right? You can't be that. You only can be this, or you or your people are only this way. Thank you, Nina. And the negativity absolutely is amplified by the media. It's amplified by everything around us. Our society, we live in a society that kind of thrives on us feeling bad about ourselves, on us feeling not capable. So then we do what? We go out and we buy things, or we engage in substances, or we, try to shop it away, or we try to create lives that look a certain way for social media when we really aren't feeling the way that those things look, right? We do a lot of things that sort of don't actually get at the root of the issues that we are having around these negative self-concepts and negative reels and negative feelings and thoughts that often go through our minds and that we pretty much don't share with anyone, right? Except perhaps if we maybe have, if we're blessed to have very good friends that we can talk these things through with, and I very much support that, or if we have therapists, but there are limited places that we can speak about these things. And so it's important that we have positive self-talk that can counteract some of those negative messages, and those come in the form of affirmations. And so a few affirmations for our head seat are, I will allow myself to dream big. And if any of these resonate with you and particularly touch you, we're doing a little form of divination right now. We'll see which one resonates with you out of any of these that we share. You're welcome to drop it into the chat. I will not talk myself out of my dreams. And I also encourage you can put these on Post-its, you can write them down, whatever it is that will help you to remember them. And saying them is important, because hearing ourselves say these things is a part of what replaces those negative thoughts with these positive ones. I have no limitations. I have no limitations. I'll allow myself to dream big. I will not talk myself out of my dreams. I have no limitations. Ooh, that one's hitting me right now. I have no limitations. Yes, none whatsoever. Okay. Or reaffirmations for the gut. I will listen to my intuition. I will listen to my intuition. I trust that what is for me is for me. I trust that what is for me is for me. I will always honor my true feelings. And this, as I said, I saw many people put gut into the chat when I asked where the questions come from. This is sometimes the hardest thing to do, is to really listen to our gut and listen to our intuition, because again, we get so many messages that tell us that our feelings aren't valid, that tell us we should posture and pretend to be things other than we are, or that pretend that we're feeling other ways if we're not really feeling a particular thing. We have to kind of, this saying of grin and bear it, and all of these kinds of sayings that we have in our society that tell us not to honor our feelings. And so claiming I will honor my true feelings, right, are very, very important. Trusting that's what's for you is for you, and what's not for you is not for you, right? I trust that what's for me is for me. And finally, affirmations for action. I will take action toward my dreams. This is an important one. I am willing to go where I need to go to achieve my dreams. And you can replace dreams with goals, right? To achieve my goals, I will take action toward my goals, whichever one resonates better for you. And I can go back to the crossroads and change direction whenever I need to. I can go back to the crossroads and change direction whenever I need to. And this is important too, because a lot of the time, what may stop us from taking action is this feeling that, okay, if I start down this road, I'm committed to it and I can't go any other way. And this reminds us that no, at any point, we can change direction. If we're walking a particular path and we find that it's not working for us, it's okay to change direction. But we have to, it's by walking the path that we come to know the path, as it says. So we can't just think about it. We have to walk it a little bit to actually find out if it's for us. So you're walking down this academic path right now. Prayerfully, it is for you. If it turns out that it's not, that is okay. Right? And you right now, you are taking action and you are walking the path to find out if it is the path for you, and knowing that you can go back to the crossroads and change direction whenever you need to. All right, so I invite you to grab the affirmation that resonates the most with you in this moment and drop it into the chat. And again, we'll see where they come from. So I'll just flash them all again quickly. Just grab the one that resonates the most with you in this moment and drop it into the chat. And let's get a little flurry of affirmation happening, right? Grab whichever one resonates with you the most. And you can put it into your own words. It doesn't have to be exactly in these words. These are suggestions, right, for feelings. So whichever one resonates with you, you can grab. I'll go back one more time for the head affirmations. We've got our gut affirmations. And we've got our action affirmations. Oh, I see those numbers going up. All right, here I go. I'm going to come and see what we've got going on. I am taking action toward my dreams. Okay, yes, I will not talk myself out of my dreams. Yes, I can go back to the crossroads and change direction whenever I need to. I will listen to my intuition. Perfect. I trust that what is for me is for me. We got two of those. Yes. That is very important, right? Trusting and having faith, especially again, in this environment, you know, being in academia, being in an environment that is by its very nature competitive, where we're going to apply for things that, you know, 1,000 other people are applying for, and we may not always get, or we're going to, you know, put in papers, or we're going to be doing all of these things that are by their nature competitive. And it can feel very disheartening when we do those things and it doesn't work out. And so having this affirmation and reminding ourselves that, look, when it's my time, it's my time. What is for me is for me. So I don't have to worry about not getting that one thing, or not having that one paper published, or not getting that one fellowship. There is one that's for me. right? And really encouraging ourselves because, you know, again, as an academic as well, I know it can feel discouraging. It can lead us to doubt ourselves, again, especially when we come from communities that have continually been told, right? You can't do this. You don't have what it takes. You're not as intelligent, or you're not as fill in the blank of whatever it may be that we're being told that we are or are not. And so it is really, really important that we affirm ourselves. Yes, Nanette, I am enough. I love that. Yes, I will take action towards my dream. What is mine is mine. Yes, we are all enough. And I am thankful to have had this time to share space with you all today. I really want to leave you, again, encouraging you to ask yourself those various questions to help align yourself, to take whatever practices have resonated with you, and also to, you know, work with these affirmations and choose one, right? Just choose one for now that really resonates, especially for those of you who dropped yours into the chat. Jot that down, because that's something that touched you in this moment, and that I encourage you, you know, maybe for the next 7 days to just commit to repeating that affirmation, to repeat that affirmation each time for the next 7 days. I think that would be absolutely wonderful. Okay, so thank you all for your attention. I want to open the floor now. If there's any feedback, any questions that you have, can I get some Ashe fingers? Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Beautiful energy. I really pray all the very best for each of you. And I know that you will accomplish everything that you put your minds, your intuition, and your action towards. So the floor is open. If there's anything that you would like to say, share. If there's any question that you have for me about any of this or anything. Yes, Jacqueline, please.
First, thank you so much for the amazing speak you did. My English is crazy, okay? But I will try. To me, it's so nice to heard about the spirituality, because during my doctoral period was very, very hostile moment to me. And how you know, Brazilian, we have Afro-Brazilian culture with Ifá and Candomblé, and was about to take the energy from the orishas that I could support myself to challenge these situations I was living. And I believe the spirituality is very important to, mainly for Afro-descendant people. You have to have this space to talk about how we can energize ourselves to be strong and can fight against the world. I don't know, fight against myself, to be able to resist and continue and grow up. Thank you so much. I love your words. Thank you.
Oh, boato, de nada, muito obrigada. Thank you for sharing. And, you know, I think it's really important as well, because especially when we are in these very heady, you know, when we are scientists, when we're academics, when we're in these spaces of intellect, we are often encouraged to let go of spiritual things, let go of energetic things, only focus on our intellect, only focus on reason. And we are not only intellectual and reasoning beings, we are also feeling beings, right? We also do have whatever we choose to call it, a spirit, a soul, a self, however we conceptualize it. There is that deeper part of us that has to be acknowledged and that has to be strengthened, again, especially when we find ourselves in hostile environments, which many of the environments we enter as, you know, people of color, as queer people, as women, as non-gender conforming, whatever it may be for us, those can be hostile environment. The world can be a hostile environment, right? And so it's really, really important that we allow ourselves to tap in. So thank you so much for sharing, and I pray the best for you as you move forward. Thank you. Kevin, yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Funlayo. Mine is not necessarily a question, but I think I should just call it a special thanks, because it's almost like taking me back home. The value that I almost lost, you just brought it back. Refining it I've never really thought about this being in a formal setting in this way. I basically know about this a bit before. I have been involved where we use it to revive your spirit, to revive yourself, and make yourself more renewed in an energetic way. Well, I know that because I studied in University of Ekiti State, which is in Yoruba land in Nigeria.
Yes.
But since then I have lost. I mean, I would say I've not been in touch with such powerful situation where you can revive yourself by yourself. You can control your destiny by your words. So it's almost like losing the touch of that just because of the way we go with academics, the way we think these are too traditional. But hearing you speak about this in this setting, in this way, certainly make things renewed for me. It's almost like renewing my faith in what African tradition can help you achieve, renewing my faith in our African culture, renewing my faith in what we as individuals hold for ourselves. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for taking me back home, and thank you for making me know that I have a lot to achieve by myself. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. My goodness. Yeah, you're making me tear up. This is absolutely why I do what I do, because we, again, especially African descended people and people of color in general, but particularly African descended people, we often have our knowledge downplayed and denigrated, our systems, our philosophies. We're told that only, Greek philosophy and French philosophy can be universalized, that the philosophies that we have as a people cannot be universalized. And this is universal philosophy. Everybody has their head, everybody has their gut, everybody has their feet, right? And so being able to contribute these philosophies to the greater pool of human knowledge and to use them to help everyone align and to create a better world together is something that is so important to me. And so I'm grateful and I'm thankful that you received it in that beautiful way. And thank you for sharing your reflections. Thank you so much. Nina, I saw you had your hand up.
Yes, blessings. Thank you for your presentation. I resonate a lot with all of what you said, but from my experience in academia, although not in the US, limited in the US, but from my experience overall, much of this is not honored at all or even understood. And, there isn't usually a space with which it's discussed. So we would usually do our thing in private, that kind of thing. So my question is, what has your experience been like, embodying this with your academic persona? How has it been received, within departments, maybe now compared to before? And how has that impacted your own journey in this way?
Thank you. Thank you for that question and for sharing. I will say I have been fortunate and blessed that the environments, I'm a humanities person, so we're kind of allowed to be a little bit more touchy-feely in general than perhaps in the sciences and in other fields. But there is often, I have, particularly in religious studies, which has traditionally been very male-focused, very Eurocentric, very Christianity-focused in particular. It has taken effort to introduce these philosophies and to, say that all of our global philosophies are on par with those that tend to get lauded, right? So it has been, it's been challenging in some moments, but my biggest, the way that I have met that challenge is really by doing things like this, by introducing the philosophies on a broad level and letting us see and tap into them, letting us understand that they are not something that needs to be kept in private, which is something we often hear, or that in particular, when we talk about African spirituality or African philosophies, there's often this idea that they're spooky or scary, or these sort of pejorative language gets used around them. And so being able to introduce them to cross-cultural audiences, being able to make the comparisons. So I do a lot with comparative religion and philosophy as well. So tapping in and understanding that Ori and Ashe, or the generative energy, is the same as Chi, is the same as Prana, is the same as, you know, all of the other world philosophies, and tapping into their energy. Every world philosophy has a place of aligning the self and has centers of energy. Right. And so really being able to relate these philosophies to the rest of the philosophies that are more better known in the world has been a way that I have been able to push back against any challenge, and really by living and embodying them myself, and continuing to increase my confidence in what they can do, and being willing to bring them into spaces where they are not often brought. And so I'm so grateful to Nanette for the invitation, and absolutely grateful to each of you for your attention, for your feedback, for your energy. And I just pray that everything that we have discussed today continues to serve you as you learn R, and as you do all the other things that you're going to be doing. I know that's, you know, you can talk Ori Woo, okay? Ori Woo. Let that Ori open to receive all of this good information. Ashe, thank you so much. Thank you.
Please join me in thanking Dr. Wood for joining us today. If you feel so inclined, unmute so she can hear your appreciation. Ashe fingers and comments and love in your direction. And let's already woo towards our terminals. Like that's where we're headed. We need to be divining some stuff. We're about to do the damn thing. We're going to take a 15-minute break. Everybody, please take a 15-minute break, and we'll come back and do our workshop is optional, but we hope you will stay with us. Please head to a participant waiting room and be social or not while our team meets. Head to one of the participant rooms. We will open the breakout rooms. We will let you know when it is time to head to the R workshop. Please take a break.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you all for watching. For more information on SICSS-Howard Mathematica, visit our website, follow us on social media, and join our email list.